Yo, what's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Tonight I want to continue with my preseason a review of the different games going on, games that matter to me. And the game that I was taking a look at tonight was the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers. Uh, Look, let me just start off with I didn't get to see the whole game, but I definitely tapped in the second half. Wanted to see how the rotations were looking. From the Knicks side of things, I thought the rotations looked really good. I thought, Thibs was doing a decent job of making sure that he played his bench extensive minutes, had a set unit. I'm really glad to see Deuce McBride as a staple point guard off the bench, allowing Emmanuel quickly to play more off guard or like a combo guard role because I think that's better suited for him. I love Deuce's ability to defend at a high level, but I will say they did struggle to shoot in this game. I don't think it was much the Knicks' ability to do so. I think they're going to be a relatively good three-point shooting team throughout this season. But I do have to commend the Indiana Pacers' perimeter defense between Chris Duarte and Benedict Mathurin and what's my man's name, T.J. McConnell. These boys get after it on the perimeter, and having shot blockers like Miles Turner, Isaiah Jackson, and even Jalen Smith behind them who are long and athletic, it just really showed that they were really able to get up on that three-point line and force them off. And in which case, when they had to attack the basket afterwards, they just showed that they really didn't have that mid-range game to really hurt the Indiana Pacers after they ran them off that three-point line. Because once they had to go all the way into the rim, once again, they ran into the shot blockers. And even though they didn't register a lot of block shots, I would say that they bothered them a lot at the rim and forced them to have to make, second and third passes, kicking it out of the lane, and then right back into the clamps of the perimeter defense of the Indiana Pacers. Kudos to Rick Carlisle and that coaching staff. I often have to remind people that Rick Carlisle has always been an elite coach. He may not have always had winning teams or teams that are good enough to win at the level of his ability, but you have to acknowledge that his skill to position players to maximize their abilities is just tremendous. As far as the starting lineup of the New York Knicks, I think one of the main things that I was kind of cautious of was that they really don't have elite defenders on this team, on this starting lineup. And really throughout most of this Knicks roster, they don't have high level defenders. Outside of what's my man, Quentin Grimes. He's probably their best perimeter defender, along with Miles McBride. But I think Miles McBride's defense is still far ahead of his offense at this time. And then, of course, we all know that Quentin Grimes is out. And so they really don't have elite perimeter defense on this squad to really defend at a high level. And so Mitchell Robinson is going to get the lion's share of having to hold down the defense. Now, of course, they've been within Tom Thibodeau's system for quite some time. It's great to have guys that have been there, and so they understand what the expectations are, what the different schemes are going to look like, and so there's a lot of continuity. And so I think that they're going to be a great defense in terms of efficiency. Well, I shouldn't say great, but they're going to be a good defense in terms of efficiency, where guys will be in the right place and going to execute the schemes. But when it boils down to stopping individual players, especially things like getting back in transition, they don't really have the personnel to do that. They really do lack a lot of athleticism, especially in that starting lineup, on the perimeter, in the backcourt, even on the wings. Outside of Mitchell Robinson, they really don't have an elite athlete on that starting lineup. And then we look at the bench, you have better athletes, especially with Obi Toppin and Cam Reddish. But Cam, I've been critiquing him for quite some time. I'm like, it's always a bad sign when the team that drafts you, right, that gets to see you up close and personal every single day, lets you go after only a couple seasons. Like, that's a huge red flag, if I've ever seen one. And I haven't really seen anything that has dispelled that red flag, that he's just not consistent. And it's not about talent with him. It's about consistency. It's about him showing up and doing the basic things, knocking down wide open corner threes, right? Making good decisions in the shot clock. I know the shot clock's winding down, right? But with 4 seconds, you can get to the rim. You can get a better shot than a sideways fading three. And then by the time it hits the rim, there's still 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Like, that was not the best shot you can get. And somehow it's misconstrued his ability with actual production. And he seems to be bought in that his talent and ability somehow equals the actual producing. And so he keeps taking these really bad shots, these really low quality shots. That's just like almost dumbfounding. It's like, why? Why? And then I'm still looking for things like, hey, more backdoor cuts. Hey, how about do stuff like penetrate and kick? And I saw a little bit of that, but even the passes weren't exactly on a straight line. And in year 3, it's like, man, some of these things, if you don't have it down by now, the talent that's coming in behind you is going to quickly replace you. Just ask guys like Josh Jackson, right? Another highly talented, high draft pick with a whole lot of potential, high skill level, a lot of talent. And man, has he bounced around because he couldn't be consistent, right? Now to get on to the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers. Yo, Benedict Mathurin might be a star. I don't want to say it just yet, but his energy, his aura on the court, you could just tell he believes in himself. He believes in himself on both ends of the court. The fact that he got to the free throw line 12 times is much indicative of the New York Knicks' lack of perimeter defense and ability to get back in transition because they don't have the athletes and the guys who just have that defensive IQ to know to get back and how to get back. But it's also kind of a relentlessness to attack the rim, and his body control, his athleticism, his ability to use his athleticism in a very effective way. It was just on full display tonight. He was the best athlete out there next to Obi Toppin, and he was extremely productive with 27 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, a steal, only 2 turnovers. Did have the 6 fouls and fouled out, but that's to be expected, though, because he's a rookie. But he played amazing defense. I mean, he just ran guys off the three-point line time and time again. And if I'm the Indiana Pacers, I can't wait to start Chris Duarte and Benedict Mathurin on that perimeter. Having those two guys as lockdown perimeter defenders around somebody like Tyrese Halliburton, right? Because when they get Halliburton back and they push TJ McConnell to that bench backup point guard role, it's going to be perfect. And I think Buddy Hield is going to be better coming off the bench along with the TJ McConnell anyhow. I think that they're probably going to do that more than anything, but I think maybe in this game what they were doing was starting TJ McConnell and Buddy Hield together because they're going to see a lot of minutes together off the bench, right? And I think that they're going to do an amazing job in that regard. Miles Turner, of course, held it down, was very steady as a veteran, even if unspectacular. But I think he does what he does until he gets traded off this team. I don't know if they will, depending upon if Miles desires to leave. But if he doesn't, they may keep him around because I think Rick Carlisle understands the value of continuity, the value of having some sort of stability, especially in terms of veteran leadership. And I think that Miles Turner is able to be that, especially just by example. And then, of course, guys like Isaiah Jackson, just incredible energy off the bench. Just as an energy player, he's just running and jumping above everybody. They were able to get out in transition and really take advantage of the more slow-footed New York Knicks in this game. And in the second half, it was just overwhelming. They just couldn't get back. And outside of a couple times where the refs may have bailed out R.J. Barrett in transition, the Indiana Pacers were far and away the better team in transition, either getting back on defense or getting out on offense and getting easy buckets and looks at the rim. I also want to commend Andrew Nembhard. Coming out of Gonzaga, I don't think anybody really expected him to be that good, but he showed that when he can be on a veteran team, and it's like a lot of these guys who have stayed a little bit longer in college, sophomore year, junior year, or come from more prestigious programs where they really have a set system. He is a system guy. He's the type of guy that Rick Carlisle is going to really enjoy coaching because he doesn't mind Rick Carlisle calling out plays every single time. He doesn't mind having a very structured offense, and you have to execute it to perfection, right? He's that type of point guard. He's going to follow whatever the game plan is. And he finished this game with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Being 6'5" as a point guard, he really used it to his advantage. He didn't rush any shots on the offensive end, which there were at times where he was like open and I was kind of wanting him to take the shot, but he didn't. But he still looked to get the best shot. And he just showed a lot of maturity in that regard where he wasn't getting sped up. He was playing at his own pace. And once again, I just saw the second half. But it's just what I saw. He has a lot of skill. And he's likely going to be that third point guard off the bench. But what you saw in him today, it has to be encouraging. Even though New York is not the most elite or athletic defensive team that he's going to have to deal with, it still bodes well that against guys who are going to be rotation players, he was able to have this type of a game this late into the preseason. Now, the last thing that I want to say is the Indiana Pacers for me were a team that I was going to keep an eye on because I'm a big Tyrese Halliburton fan. I love what I saw out of Chris Duarte, and I really liked Benedict Mathurin in the draft. And I had a feeling, I was like, man, somebody like Tyrese Halliburton is going to really make the game easy and enjoyable for a lot of these young guys playing alongside of him. And I think it's a team that is more than willing and able to just give him the reins like the Indiana Pacers did last year and say, hey, run the show because we trust you. Not only do you make great decisions, you're extremely unselfish, you're very efficient, but guys also like playing with you because you're a great teammate and you're a great leader. And a point guard has a lot of those attributes. You tend to see them bring the best out of their teammates, much like Steve Nash did, much like Jason Kidd was able to do when he was with the New Jersey Nets. These types of point guards who people enjoy playing with, man, guys just, they have a good time. And it may seem like something that's not a big deal, but just ask the Golden State Warriors, right? Outside of this recent event, this team enjoys playing together. And that's why they're able to play at such a high level, because you don't have the stress of having to get yourself up and energized to play, right? Because basketball at the professional level, I only just played a little bit of college ball, and I can tell you it is a full-time job. There are some days you do not want to go to practice. There are days you kind of want to get up for the game, but depending upon how much playing time you might get, you might be like, bruh, and if it's a long road trip, I can imagine for these guys traveling across the country, you're in different hotels 5-6 days out of the week, you got back-to-backs, 2 back-to-backs on a road trip, it can get dreary. It can get loathing at times. But when you have a guy that helps you to enjoy playing every day, right, it helps you to want to be in the gym. It helps you to want to get those extra shots up, to play a game of 21 at the end of practice, to get hyped for the game in front of you because you know that you're going to have fun, you're going to enjoy it. And it also builds the team chemistry and character around solid leaders who really make it enjoyable. And I think TJ McConnell is also one of those types of point guards who is very unselfish. And when you have unselfish point guards, oh my goodness, guys love flying to their spots, rolling to the rim hard, cutting back door, with intentionality, right? Not just moving for the sake of moving, but really moving because they believe that they're going to get the ball, right? And so for this, I say the Indiana Pacers are definitely a team that I'm going to keep an eye on. I know Tyrese Halliburton is out for the short time, but I think throughout this season, we're going to see this team is going to catch a lot of teams, especially on back-to-backs, teams that are coming in, overlooking them. If they are able to hang around, there's going to be some tight games that they're able to pull out because I think Benedict Mathurin, Tyrese Halliburton are going to be a couple of guys that are going to be able to close people out. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. With the Knicks, I'm still thinking that they're going to be mid-tier type team. They're going to be that 7, 8, 9 seed. Just because they don't have the defensive athleticism and eliteness that you really need to compete at the top of the East or the NBA at this point. But let me know what you guys think. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. And I'm going to holla at y'all in the chat. Definitely going to be responding to all the comments. All right. Y'all be well. Peace.